Irashaimase, welcome to the Art of Comics. You ask for it, I deliver, okay? Knock and it shall be opened unto you. Ask and ye shall receive. I'm Andres Salazar. We're going to talk about the topic that you all love. You've demanded it. These are my most popular topics. Heavy Metal Magazine. That's right. I bought 4 heavy metal magazines for $1 each at a swap meet. Now, that's the only place you're going to find heavy metal magazines for $1 as a swap meet. They're expensive on eBay now. You find them on a convention, but they're going to be like $10 each. They're expensive because people know what's up. These things are pretty darn amazing. I went back and forth on them, but then now I'm like all in on heavy metal. I would love to get them all. It's I think the one magazine that actually would want to get all of them. So we're going to talk about March 1989's issue. This is when they went into a quarterly mode. Well, they've went months and quarter. They've done different things, but this is quarterly, I believe. And yeah, I'm excited to share this with you guys. So we'll talk about it, and I'll just flip the camera over right now, and we'll do that. Before we, though, let me just move you over to the Patreon. Go check out my Patreon right now. I'm working on a couple of little comics, one called The Weekend, one called Life and Death. Those are only on Patreon. And then I also have my graphic novel, my large story I'm doing called Shangri-La. I'm doing that. And if that's not enough, I'm also doing a documentary called Leaving Your Tribe, which is pretty cool too. So check all that out there on the Patreon, and let's get on with the show. Let's do this. Are you ready? Okay, we're going to walk through this one. This is mainly this issue is Juan Gimenez's story, Leo Roa, which is brilliant. If you guys don't know Juan Gimenez, he's probably one of my favorite artists. I mean, he's right up there with Mobius for me, honestly, to be honest. I think I like him more than Droulet. That's just my take. Okay, so let's just take a look at this, and we'll just walk through all these things. I've been getting into paperback books, which is kind of funny. Oh, this was cool. Check this out. I read this last night. This is, they asked creators' favorite sci-fi fantasy movie. This is fascinating. Charles Burns said The Brain That Would Die. Richard Corbin said King Kong and Alien. Makes sense. Drew Friedman said Plan 9 from Outer Space. Rick Geary said The Day the Earth Stood Still. Randy Jones said Blade Runner. Brazil. Mike Kaluta said Blade Runner. Peter Cooper said Brazil. Adam Kubert said Alien, of course. Gene Gerard was Star Wars. I thought that was interesting. He didn't say Alien. He worked on Alien, I think, with Geiger. Olivia said Clockwork Orange. Frank Thorne, Not of This World. I don't know that movie, Not of This World. I do like Frank's work on Red Sonja, though. Boris Vallejo said Blade Runner, another Blade Runner. Will Eisner said 2001, Space Odyssey. Kenneth Smith, I don't know Kenneth Smith, said Blade Runner. Art Sudum said Alien. So that's kind of cool, just like favorites. A lot of Blade Runner, a lot of Alien. Just makes sense. Sometimes you can find these graphic novels. They're kind of pricey though, but every now and then you might find something cool like Torpedo or something. It'd be cool to get a lot of these. I would actually like to get some of these Butterscotches by Milo Manera. I'm not a huge fan of the cheesecake. Okay, here's Leo Roa. I've met Juan Gimenez at WonderCon years ago. Very nice guy, super nice guy. He liked my book, which was cool. So this is his work. I really love. There's so many things about it. I love, of course, the the rendering, the inking, the coloring, the whole freaking caboodle. It's just brilliant. If you look here, the drawing, the design of the spaceships, the design of all the tech. It does feel a little manga influenced. Um, a lot of the way this stuff is built out does feel like manga, and I think that, and I love the color palette too, blues, umbers, and oranges. It's just really cool. It's kind of one of these stories. It's very actually similar to like a Inkal, where you have this kind of a foolish character, who's gets sucked into this intergalactic kind of conflict and all these different things. And but look at these, like this right here. Just check this out. Isn't that freaking cool? Just the way it's designed. This craft, they called it a Super Vespa, but it's just, I just wouldn't be able to like design that. You know what I mean? So the fact that he's able to design these things that feel like real world machinery is just really, really neat. And there's all this work to design something that's only in like 2 pages. There's maybe like 5 panels total. So there's just a lot of like back end work when you're doing comics. This world building element, you have to build all these things out that you may or may not use these models, so to speak, for the stuff. Again, I mentioned the coloring, but I would love to see his originals. I want to know what's his process. Hopefully one day I'll get to see him again. He's doing watercolor. I do think there's some airbrush, and then I'm curious about the inks, if that was another layer or if he's doing on top of it or what. So kind of intrigued by how that goes. But as you can tell, it's full of wonderful like art, just like jam packed with lots of really cool art. I appreciate that. One of the other things he does I like is the non-contiguous lines. You'll see in places where he will not draw. He kind of like breaks up the lines in certain things, which are like, again, look at these. Look at these really cool spacecraft and all the stuff that's built out to the hangars, the openings of the ships. It's just brilliant. I would love to get some. I would buy a Juan Gimenez box set, so to speak, like just a library set of all his work all together in one place, because I have it scattered around in different books and magazines and stuff. It'd be great to have it all together because I consider him a master. And look at this here, this creature he did, this kind of a tentacle kind of thing. The depth, just the range of colors and the modeling and the painting of this really gives it a really nice 3-dimensional opaque kind of form, which I really like too. So it's not all kind of these transparent colors. He actually puts a lot of like depth into that. Stuff like this, I want to know how he did this. Was this watercolor? Is this like an airbrush technique? I'm not sure. It's so clean. This gradient is so perfect. It makes me think it's airbrush. But he might have used watercolor on that, and I don't know. That's like this right here I'm really curious about. But look at all this really cool stuff here. Again, reminds me of some Mobius stuff. And then we're going to get into some cheesecake because this is heavy metal. So we get some of that. And that's just part of the story. It's kind of weird because it actually, these 2 pages do not make sense of the story, because the main character goes to his cousin who's like learning how to play guitar and working on this like guitar. And then we have this where he sees this other person, has an interlude with them, and then we go back to him with the cousin. So I really don't understand if this was placed out of order or this is just, it's a little strange. I would be curious about what that was all about, because it's a very weird moment. But yeah, the art is just really freaking cool. I dig it big time. And the explosions, all this stuff it's really neat. And we are going to have another cheesecake moment soon with the Captain Crapula. Her name is Crapula, so that was funny. But look, I mean, look at this. This is just so good. So nice. So nicely done. And she's got this like weird snuffleupagus pet thing that's kind of jealous of her affections, and but you know, just gorgeous stuff here. So we're gonna get a little bit more cheesecake. And then look at that face. Look at that. And this stuff is great. He also does Elephant Man. He's done some Elephant Man interiors, and I think he does the covers, especially the earlier ones. Yeah, but this is a big story. You can tell this is already 40 some odd pages, and it's the majority of this issue is going to be this story here. It is quite freaking good. Okay. Nothing much more to say on this. Just freaking buy it, find it, own it, get a couple more butt shots. And then, yeah, this is the design. I mean, this right here is just a wonderful panel. It's so cool. Just her figure, her movements. Yeah, it's just so good, dude. Okay, now we're going to another story. Picard. Excuse me, the specialist. This was actually kind of a fun little like turn, where the art's okay. The art might not be. It's heavily stylized. It's not bad. It's not my favorite, but it's got a cool story. What happens in the end? This guy's kind of assaults her, walks away, but it turns out she's been being assaulted by her spouse for a long time. And then she goes and calls that guy up, that kind of propositioned her, and she goes to see him, and it turns out he was an angel, and he will now take her away, which is kind of a cool little idea. This one was interesting too, by MJ Belroy. I like these moments where they're using some texture. Could be a Contig pen, Contig crayon, something like that, possibly. And then some very heavy contrast here in the blacks. This is really nice. These really cool like panoramic landscape cityscape stuff, the clouds. This is all really well done. Really cool. This is I like this kind of drawing. Like, I just like to do that myself, so it's kind of fun to see. This figure works good too. Yeah. Good contrast. I mean, the blacks are put in here just perfect. You see how the blacks are in there, right? The shadows, just right. Yeah, it's very well done. I don't really know this artist that much, but I like it. This one, Arena, by Miguel Angel Prado. I need to look him up because just this page is fascinating. It's like a Dune type story, but instead of Arrakis, it's here on Earth. But this here really grabbed me. The chiaroscuro kind of work here, the levels of depth and darkness. Really dig this. Look at this. Look how, I mean, he just melts in the background, but yet there's a hint fade of that sky that separates him out. Those little moments, you can see the folds. It might not pick up well on camera, but in person, it's quite remarkable how he did this. It really is. Super impressive. And the faces are good. The anatomy, of course, is what you would expect and idealized. But look at the folds and everything and the clothing. It's really good. I'm going to have to look him up. The name is familiar. Prado does sound familiar, but and even this, check out the circuit board or electronics, you know, how he does this with pencil, you know, the the brightness. It's really cool. And then, this is a dark night, they're in space, and then boom, now they're in the desert, and just like the change in light. But look at the detail. It really is wonderful. It's like, I need to look this guy up, see what he's done, because it's quite incredible. The drafting, I mean, just wonderful draftsman, and great like camera movements and stuff. Where the camera is. This is a really great shot here. The ability to draw people in motion is really important. Draw them moving, doing something, and you're getting like basically just a quick snapshot of them in the process of movement is the goal, and it's difficult to do. Here's the artist. This one by Herigberto. This is good. It didn't grab me as much. I do like the airbrush though, and it does have this kind of like 80s futuristic vibe type thing, which I dig a lot. But I like the colors, and I like these silhouettes. It definitely feels like that kind of thing. Okay, and then this one is another story. This one didn't grab me as much. I think it's well done, of course, but I think I was so in love with the Gimenez, I started like running out of juice, so to speak. As I was getting so stimulated. But yeah, it's really good. It's really well done. I do like the layers of watercolor and painting on their faces and the skin. It always does a good job. Dude, I would buy one of these shirts in a heartbeat. I totally want to buy one of these shirts. Rebecca and James Fletcher. This is an interesting story. I really like the kind of looseness of the inks here in this. This is like incredible. I mean, camera cannot do this justice, but it is quite incredible. And I like this, man. And so, yeah, it's kind of a fun story. It's basically they're not human. The human is the mask, and they're actually demons dressed in humans as demons. So it's kind of a double flip. Again, cool airbrush stuff. I love airbrush. If it wasn't such a hassle, I live in an apartment, and so when I break out the airbrush with the generator, it's just loud and kind of it's kind of cumbersome. It's a little challenge to use. I do like the effect though a lot, and I wish I would get more into it, and I should probably break it out more, but it's like it's a production for me to like break out the airbrush. But I do appreciate it. So it's cool though. I do like it. There you go. You guys love these. I'm doing it just for you. Thanks for watching. I've got 3 more that are coming up, so we'll be doing those. And thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Oh, Comic-Con's coming up, and I will be there. I'm gonna go in full freaking force. I'm excited. I haven't been in 3 years, and so I'll do a lot of videos of Comic-Con. So stay tuned for that. Bye, guys.